right, so welcome back to another UAE Social Studies lesson. Thank you so much for your wonderful early explorer projects. They were amazing, better than I could have ever imagined. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what you do for your next project, which is to create your own ideal city, okay? So this city is basically, it could have everything that you ever imagined or wanted in a city. You can use another city, a real city that is as a model for yours, but you need to decide the name of your city. It can't be the name of a city already in the world. You need to come up with your own name. You need to decide what continent your city is on, which you need to use one of our real continents. You need to decide what country your city is in, okay? And remember, it has to be a real country. You need to tell me if your city is in the northern or southern hemisphere, and I'll talk about what that is, as well as if your city is west or east of the prime meridian line, and I'll tell you what that is. You have to tell me the physical features that you have in your city, as well as the man-made features you have in your city. And you have to think of words that describe your city, what people can do in your city, and the climate of your city in winter and summer. So that will be linked with what continent and country your city is in, okay? So you might need to do a little bit of research, but this is all your own. So using this information, you are going to make a map of your city and a holiday flyer which draws tourists to your city, and then you're also going to do a little bit of report writing. So let's quickly review what the continents are so you can decide which continent you want your city to be on. So we have North America, South America, Europe, Africa, Asia, Australia, and Antarctica. So if you really want to have your city in Antarctica, go for it, okay? You have so many countries in the world that you can choose from. Remember that your country needs to link up with your continent. So you can't say North America, but then choose Australia as your country, okay? You have to keep it. So if you choose North America as your continent, then you need to decide if your country is going to be Canada or the United States, okay? Or Mexico. So you need to link up your continents with your countries, okay? Now, the northern or southern hemisphere is basically a line that goes across, and what that line is, it's called the equator. So it divides the earth into two halves. So there's the north half, which is the northern hemisphere, and the south half, which is the southern hemisphere. So you can see here in this picture, this part is the north, and the north is pretty big, but also the south is pretty big. So there's the south, okay? So the line literally goes across, and that's it. That is the equator line. So depending on what country or continent you've chosen, your country might be in the northern part or the southern part. If your country is along the line here, just have a quick check on Google to find out if your country is in the northern or southern hemisphere. Now, we are separated into two halves, up and down, so north and south, but we're also separated east and west, and that is the prime meridian, and it also divides the line into two parts. So it links up the North Pole and the South Pole. It's also where time starts, okay? Which is really confusing, but if you go to another country, there's what's called a time change. So it starts at different time zones. So Greenwich, England, where I used to live, is where time is basically at zero. So you start at zero and then you work your way one way or the other way. So you either go up in time or forward in time. So for me, living in the UAE, for me to call my mom and dad in Canada, they live in Vancouver, and they are 11 hours behind me. But my friends in London, they're only 3 hours difference. okay? But in Australia, it's 6 hours difference. So they're ahead of me 6 hours, okay? So that's kind of how the prime meridian line works, but it also divides into west and east, okay? So here we have the east, and this is the west, okay? So west and east. So again, think about what country you're doing, and because you need to know if your country is west of the prime meridian or east of the prime meridian. Is it in the eastern hemisphere or the western hemisphere? Next up are the physical land features in your city. Okay, so maybe your city has mountains, maybe it has a volcano, a valley, a plain, a canyon, an island, a lake, a river, an ocean, anything, okay? But you need to choose some landforms that are physical, so they are made by nature, and you need to decide what landforms would fit in your city, okay? Try to think of one or two to add in to your city. Hills are really easy, valleys, peninsulas, bays, okay? Whereas things like glaciers and volcanoes might be a bit more tricky, okay? Remember, look at the countries and cities that you've chosen and see what landforms actually are there. Next up, you are going to decide what man-made features you want in your city. Now these, you can come up with whatever ones you want. You can even use some of the man-made features that are already in existence and just say, yeah, well, they came to my city. Okay, so things that are basically man-made features are things that are made by people. So bridges, roads, monuments, towers, buildings, houses, memorials. Okay, maybe you feel like bringing the pyramids to your city, whatever you want. So try to have at least, I mean, you'll have houses and buildings, but try to have maybe 3 man-made features in your city, okay? That could be a canal, that could be a bridge, a monument, maybe a tower, anything you want, all right? But try to choose 3 man-made features and 1 or 2 physical features. And finally, just another word, climate. So climate is basically the weather, but over a long period of time. So I know that the climate in the UAE in the summer is very, 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 very hot, okay? But I know that the climate in the winter is normally a much more nicer temperature. It's a bit cool, it's about 20 degrees, but it's also very sunny. Whereas the climate in Canada, where I'm from, normally it's snowing in the winter and very cold, like -10 at least, okay? But in the summer, where I'm from, it also gets pretty hot, but not as hot as it does here. So normally in the summer, where I'm from in Canada, it's very sunny and warm. So I know the weather over a long period of time, okay? So you can kind of guess what the weather is going to be like in the summer or winter, spring, and autumn. So you'll need to think about the climate as well. So for your project, you need to draw a map of your city with a legend, okay? Now we all know what a legend means, but you need to use your legend to show your physical features and man-made features. So if you want to do a map like this, that's fine, but it needs to show your whole city. Now, I'm not going to decide how big your city is. That's for you to decide, okay? Maybe you want a giant city. Maybe you just want a little small city. It's up to you, okay? But you need to show your physical features and your man-made features. So maybe you put a symbol like this on your legend, and that means mountain, okay? It's an easy one. So maybe on your map, you would, okay, this is a park, so maybe I would put that that's a mountain, all right? Or you could have this be a river, and then you would have on your map, maybe instead of this being a road, maybe that's a river, okay? So I put rivs, can't even spell. So that is for you to decide. So remember, you should have 1 or 2 physical features depending on where your city is located in the world, so which country or continent. And you should have 3 man-made at least, okay? And your man-made, again, you could just have this, meaning houses, or maybe you just have a tower. Maybe that's your tower sign. But remember to put that and show me that in your legend. Okay, next up, you need to write a little report. Basically, I just want 1 paragraph. And you don't have to tell me that much information. You're just going to tell me where your city is located, the country, and the continent, if it's in the northern or southern hemispheres, and if it's east or west of the prime meridian, okay? You're also going to tell me about the physical and man-made features that are found in your city. Obviously, you need to tell me your city name too, but you'll probably have that on your map, okay? But if you didn't write it down, then just make sure you have your city name, there we go. That should say name, not MAME. Your city name should be on your report if it's not on your map. And then the last part of your project is that you need to create a flyer, a poster, a brochure, or an advertisement about why tourists should come and visit your city. So what can they do there in the winter? What can they do there in the summer, in the spring, in the fall? Is there a best time to come and visit your city? Or maybe they have to come if they want to do different activities. So I don't think you would come to the UAE if you felt like going skiing, okay? You might go to Switzerland, to the Alps, or to France or Italy, or even Canada to go skiing. But you might come here to go to the beach all year round. So that's something that you could say for your weather or for activities. So maybe if they really like the beach, then it's perfect for them, okay? So you need to think about the things that they can see and do in your city, and you need to make just a little flyer or poster or brochure or advertisement. It's up to you. If you want to do a little video, if you want to do a PowerPoint or just an advertisement, that's fine. Remember to use wow words and bossy verbs just like we did in our Ukraine advertisement a couple months ago. Okay? And that's it. So this is going to be due on Thursday, June 18th. So you have a few weeks. You have 3 weeks to complete this. I think it's 3 weeks. So you have lots of time to get it done and make it your very best work, which I know that you will do. Yeah, 3 weeks, I just checked. So please make sure that you're doing your very best work. Remember, you need to complete 3 different activities: a map, a small report or paragraph, and then an advertisement, which can be a poster or a flyer or a brochure about what tourists can do to try and get them to visit your city. Okay, maybe you have a special deal, maybe you have a celebrity endorsement. How would you get me to come to your city? Okay, so that's what you need to do for your next UAE Social Studies project. You are creating your own city with whatever you want in it. Maybe it has a giant, I don't know, a giant ball pit or a giant bouncy castle, the biggest bouncy castle in the world. Maybe your whole city is just a bouncy castle. It can be anything that you want, all right? Just remember that you need to have physical features, man-made features. You need to tell me about the climate, the prime meridian, the hemisphere, the countries, what continent it's on. So remember all of this stuff. If you have any questions, just let me know. And remember that this is due on the 18th of June, so you have lots of time to get it done.